It's Hi, it's Tukru. I make a zine called Your Pretty Face is Going Straight to Hell, and I also run Vampire Hag Distro. And I'm gonna read a little bit from my upcoming zine about being non-binary. I don't know if it's gonna be a issue of Your Pretty Face is Going Straight to Hell, or is it if it's gonna be like a separate one shot. But we'll see, and it's quite possible I'll change this, but I wanted to read something for Swansea Zine Fest because I really love Swansea Zine Fest. I mean, I've only been once before, but I had a really nice time, and I have lots of friends in Swansea and I never get to see them. So here we go. I think I've always expressed my identity / gender in non-traditional ways. When I was younger and skinnier and had short hair, I used to get misgendered and called sir, and have kids say shit like, is that a boy or a girl? Or get called Harry Potter or whatever. And every time it happened, I was so fucking proud. It felt so good to be seen as something undefinable. It happens less now because I'm fat with visible boobs and butt and a so-called feminine shape, and my hair is longer. It's a bob with a fringe or an overgrown bob with a fringe, and that whole combo reads more feminine or less androgynous or masc to the general public, whatever any of that means. This non-binary thing is not a new thing. The thing that is new is that now I have a language for it. This doesn't change who I am or who I am to you. The only thing that's really changing in a tangible way is the way you talk about me. So you use they, them, their, themselves instead of she, her, herself, etc. Though to be honest, I have been low-key struggling with that last one. Like, grammatically, is it themself, their self, or themselves? Like, you know, when it's plural. But I've done some googling, and themself, which seems like the rightest one to me at least, is a real word, at least according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And I mean rightest in, to me at least, but you know, English is my second language, and my first language, which is Finnish, doesn't have gendered pronouns, you know, like he, him, oh no, he, she, whatever. Let alone separate reflexive pronouns like, what was it, themselves, herself, or was it their, her? I can't remember what's reflexive pronouns. Finnish grammar's weird, but isn't language fun? And that's it, because that's all I've got on this piece of paper. This is actually what I made on my zine along for this same virtual zine fest. I don't know if it's before this or after this, so you know, fun. We don't know stuff. And I'm about halfway through doing that zine, maybe a little bit more. As I said, it might be a issue of Your Pretty Face is Going Straight to Hell, or like a separate one-off zine if I can think of a good title for it, which I haven't so far. And it'll be available at Vampire Hag Bistro when it's done. And that's it for this zine reading. I know it was a bit short, but that's what you get, because I don't feel particularly comfortable reading my stuff because everything's a bit long. But okay, now I'm just rambling and I don't know how to finish this, so I'm going to just finish off. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram under @Kissakerho, which is KISSAKERHO. But it's probably easier to just find the distro and go from there, which is vampire_hag on both Twitter and Instagram, and it is vampirehag.co.uk, and that's got all the stuff. Anyway, I hope you have a nice day and you're doing okay and everyone's safe and all that jazz. You know, lockdown's fun. But I mean, no, it's not fun. But I'd be doing the same thing if there wasn't a lockdown, because I just lost my job about a month before lockdown. So good times kick me while I'm down. Anyway, I'm gonna go just do something else now. Bye.
Hello, my name's Jeremy Dixon of Hazard Press. I'm really happy to be involved in the virtual Swansea Zine Fest. I would have been taking this pamphlet to the festival, a little artist book about Anne Sexton. So I'm going to be reading this poem. Wraiths. So this is a poem where I meet Anne Sexton when I'm 3 years old and lost. I'm 3 years old and lost, and she picks me up in the foyer of the Royal Festival Hall in London. Anne Sexton picks me up when I run away from my mother in the foyer of the Royal Festival Hall, and I run straight into the sheer legs of Anne Sexton, talking to men, a circle of men around her. I run straight into her legs and she laughs, drops down level with my face and laughs, picks me up and swings me on her hips, swaying on Anne Sexton's hips as she strides the foyer of the Royal Festival Hall, looking for my mother and recognizing my mother by reading the fear in an unfamiliar face. Reads my mother handing me over with a smile and the slightest tap on my mother's stomach, her tapping and saying, let's hope this one's a girl. A girl and a slight tap and a cigarette walking away. Anne Sexton walking back to the men and my mother staring and recognizing that smile on a spotlit poster, a poster for poetry in the foyer of the Royal Festival Hall. So this is a poem where I meet Anne Sexton in London when I am 3 years old and we are both unmourned.
Hi, I'm Kirsty. I'm one of the organisers of Swansea Zine Fest, and I'm going to read today from my zine Forever Incomplete 10, which is an alphabet zine. So I've written a short piece, several short pieces, all of which start with a different letter of the alphabet. And I'm going to read the pieces that spell out, of the letters that spell out my name, because I thought that would be fun. So the first one, K, is for Kirsty. Kirsty or Kirsty is a feminine given name and nickname. It is a Scottish diminutive of Christine in English-speaking countries and is also linked to Kirsten, the Scandinavian version of Christine, from Wikipedia. Very valid source. I like my name. I like that it is common enough that I've met a number of people that share it, but uncommon enough for me to dramatically insist that my loved ones can't acknowledge the existence of any other Kirstys, or that I have to be their favourite one. I also like having K as my initial because it's a bit of a weirdo letter in my opinion. I didn't realise until I moved to Swansea and met a wider variety of people than I knew in my hometown that it seems to be a peculiarly British name. I don't think I've met anyone from outside the UK that has known how to say it right the first time. I get called Christy a lot by people I've met through work, and S's friends and family have had to be extensively coached on how to pronounce it, as they instinctively say it like Kirsty. When I was younger, I really wanted a name that could have a proper nickname, like one that was a name in its own right, like Becky or Jess. I feel like Kirst has its own charm, though. I have to say that I wish my name had a more original meaning. It's a derivative of Christine, so it means follower of Christ, which is not only factually untrue, but also doesn't say a lot about my supposed personality traits. I think I basically wish that etymological name meanings were more like those pens with names and their corresponding traits on, which always seem to be sold in card shops. Overall, it's a thumbs up on the name. I think I'll keep it. This is I. I is for illness. Very, like this particular entry, very relevant at the moment, obviously. Everything ever talking about health. If you're worried about a symptom, go to see your doctor to put your mind at rest. Me, remembering the multiple times I've spotted a bruise on my body and decided that probably means I'm dying. Some people have health anxiety, Susan. So true. R is for rules. Rules everyone at my gym should have to follow. People entering or leaving the changing rooms pre-workout should always give way to people who are doing the same thing post-workout. Their legs almost definitely feel as if they're made of jelly. No one should leave gross stuff of any description, e.g. gum, used plasters, I know, in the storage areas on the machines. Conversations in the small area outside the toilet cubicles should be kept to a minimum. Take it to the main area, guys. Some people can't go with people just hanging around outside. If for whatever reason it feels most comfortable for a person to change in a toilet cubicle, this should be done as quickly as is possible for that person, because oh my goodness, there are only 3 cubicles and people gotta go. No video calls in the changing rooms. Like, I am real glad that you and your pal are super chill about nudity, but I am not, and I have my tits out. I don't think I ask for much. S is for songs. I'm often nostalgic about my time at sixth form college. I wouldn't want to go back there now, but they were pretty formative times for me. I think it was mostly because of being in that weird but mostly great middle ground between childhood and adulthood. I had my first job, so I had more money than I had ever had in my life, but not much I needed to spend it on. I had left school, which I both loved and hated in equal measure, but I had the mixture of freedom and structure which came from being at college. I didn't have to do maths anymore, but I didn't yet have to recall what I could do with it to work out who owes what for the receipt on the Tesco shop. I could stay up late socialising, but couldn't drink enough alcohol to get a proper hangover. Most significantly, I developed a group of friends that helped me enjoy all these things, who made me feel like I belonged, who were some of the first people who helped me feel like being gay was both an important part of my identity and really not a big deal, and who were just generally a lot of fun. We had a ton of adventures together and acquired a whole load of in-jokes, which basically all revolve around the fact that we are all ridiculous. They are still some of my absolute favourite people in the world, and we have done a lot of great things since. I'm on holiday in Corfu with some of them as I write this. I'm unfortunately and understandably not on holiday in Corfu now. But those first couple of years hold a special place in my heart. Music played a big role in that part of our friendship. It was the early days of digital music, so we did a lot of taking it in turns to listen to each other's iPods, full of oddly punctuated titles because the songs had been downloaded from LimeWire. So there are a lot of songs which bring back strong memories. Here are some of them. It's very, very 2006, 2007. So we've got Ruby by the Kaiser Chiefs, Mr. Blue Sky, Electric Light Orchestra, Foundations by Kate Nash. I love that song. I Love It When You Call by The Feeling. What happened to The Feeling? Gold, Spandau Ballet. Susie, Boy Kill Boy. Smile Like You Mean It by The Killers. The Magic Position, Patrick Wolf. Maria by Blondie. Friday I'm in Love by The Cure. Smile, Lily Allen. Hounds of Love, Kate Bush. From Paris to Berlin, Infernal. The Coast is Always Changing, Maximo Park. So basically, it's actually a mixture of 2006 and what was on the SingStar, the karaoke game, and then some other random stuff. T is for travelling. Why I love travelling. I get to see people I don't see super often, e.g. my friends and family in Southampton, and S. I usually get a lot of reading and or writing done on the journey. There's a feeling of being out of time when the whole day is spent travelling. It's kind of like real life pauses. Something being a travel snack makes basically any food a delight. Why I hate travelling. Packing and generally getting ready to leave the house is an OCD nightmare. The fear of not ending up on an aisle seat on a plane. The reduced but still significant fear of having to share a double seat on a coach or train when I have 40,000 bags and anxiety about them getting lost. People reclining their seats on any kind of public transport. Having to carefully consider my fluid intake to avoid needing the toilet whilst on a coach or train. I don't like plain toilets either, but it tends to be more difficult to avoid those. Nearly always ending up sleep deprived. Paying lots to get somewhere and still being uncomfortable for most of the journey can feel like a raw deal. Oh, I remember travelling. It's weird. And the last one is why, which is for youth. A particular subsection on my list of many ways I fear I am doing life incorrectly is the fear that the things I like, and even some elements of my personality, are perceived by others as things I should have grown out of by now. These things include reading fanfic and generally being involved with fandom, making zines, liking Harry Potter and having a house heavily decorated with Harry Potter things, enjoying going out drinking and dancing every once in a while, my tendency to cry easily, choosing the colours for things based on what I like the best rather than the colours which go best together, liking the taste of cheap ready meals, being so attached to my workplace, being in polyam relationships, happily renting a house and living with a housemate, feeling jealous when my friends make new friends, and so on. Vast swathes of my identity and the things which make me happy, or which I at least don't consider to be a bad thing, get sucked into this fear that everyone just thinks I am frivolous and not a real adult. I know objectively that isn't true, and that even if it was, I would still want to be who I am and like what I like, but that doesn't get rid of the sense of unease. It's actually pretty exhausting. If I am childish, I feel cheated, because I sure as fuck don't have the energy of an actual child. And that's that. Spelt my name. Thank you very much for listening.
Hello, my name's Eddie. My pronouns are they, them, and I've just finished a new zine called 5 Things I Wish I'd Learnt at School About Empire. It's about British colonial histories, and it's inspired by Fill in the Blanks and the Advocacy Academy. So I'm going to read you the introduction. It's a frosty morning at the dawn of 2020. Before London grinds into life for another frenetic day, a group of black and brown teenagers are dropping 5,000 doctored newspapers at 20 different tube stations across town. The photoshopped covers carry headlines from the alternative Britain they fight for. Boris backs Empire education. New curriculum will look at the good, the bad and the ugly of Britain's colonial past. This is Fill in the Blanks, a group of young activists from South London who all have family from former British colonies. Their stunt went on to spark widespread debate about the power of education to shape the country's values and choices. At a crossroads of national identity in the era of Brexit, they ask the difficult question: whose British history is being told? And how does mainstream ignorance of empire perpetuate racism and nationalism today? For me, following this ingenious intervention and its aftermath was a revelation. It laid bare the cavernous gaps in the classrooms of my youth and how I glided easily over them because I was not the one being erased. This is what history meant in school for me. British history is Queen Victoria, Henry VIII and Churchill, maybe a bit of Bronze, Stone and Iron Age thrown in too. World history is Greeks, Romans and European dictators. These amazing activists from Youth Social Justice Fellowship, the Advocacy Academy, taught me many of the things that were missing. But it really shouldn't be the job of young people of colour to educate a white 30-something like me. White folks need to do better at the work of decolonisation and anti-racism. If we are leaving it to the people of colour to shoulder the burden, then we are part of the problem. I am still trying to figure out what I can do in my own spheres. Actively supporting marginalised voices, actively approaching any spaces with a critical eye on who is not included, actively investing time in unpicking the inherent prejudices and privileges of whiteness. This zine might be useful for others on a similar path, though there are some infinitely more powerful resources listed at the end. Ultimately, I hope this zine will become a historical relic, viewed with curiosity by future generations who learnt all this stuff at school. There's a lot of work to be done before we get there. The whole point of this zine is that I begin from a point of culturally sanctioned ignorance. It is definitely not an expert guide, so there will be things that need challenging or further research. There's stuff I don't even touch on. For example, the ways that Britain has exerted control over the very boundaries and definitions of various parts of the globe, contributing to conflicts that still rage today. I write specifically about British colonialism, but in the future, I also hope to learn more about wider European colonial histories. In the future, I hope to learn more, period. So, if you want to find out what comes next, and check out the provocative collage illustrations, you can get a copy for 50p plus postage from the So Irregular Etsy shop. If you send me a screenshot of a donation to the Advocacy Academy when you order your zine, I will be adding an extra surprise gift into your envelope. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Sierra. I write poetry under the title Poems from My Hospital Bed, and I'm going to be sharing a couple of my pieces with you today. This first one's called The Internet Made Me Gay. The internet made me gay. They nod solemnly at this statement, this gathering of musty elders with their fraying cardigans and balding heads. They know it must be true, because in their day there was none of this nonsense. There was no transgender or non-binary. People had the good sense to be happy with what the good Lord made them, and anyone who might, just occasionally, feel a smidgen of attraction for the same sex had the bloody decency to keep it to themselves. But it's not like that now. Now the queers are everywhere, spreading their perverse agenda, twisting souls toward damnation. And it's because of the internet. That's what made them gay. It couldn't be support or understanding or, heaven forbid, progress. No, it has to be the internet, with its insidious reach into every child's mind, making them reach for those obscene rainbows and claim some sexuality as they might a fashion statement. Yes, that must be it. It has to be the internet that's making me gay. This next piece is called simply Boy or Girl. Are you a boy or a girl? No. And yes. Do you prefer pink or blue? Barbie or G.I. Joe? Neither. Either. Honestly, I couldn't care less, because the world isn't binary like that. It's not just black or white, boy or girl. There are so many of us that fall in the middle, that disappear down the cracks just because we aren't what our parents thought we were. We aren't binary, aren't black or white, this or that. We are the shades of grey, the marginal percentiles, the people who defy concepts of gender that were outdated 2,000 years ago. And we will be seen, and we will be heard. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed those. If you did, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter as Poems from My Hospital Bed. Take care, stay safe.
Hi, my name's Kath. I'm one of the 3 co-organisers of Swansea Zine Fest, and today I'm going to be doing a zine reading from my zine, which is called Here in My Head. This is from issue 20, which was published in December 2019. I don't feel like I'm very good on camera. I feel like I'm very awkward, and I tried to film this about 20 times now, but in the spirit of kind of DIY and zine ethos. I'm just going to roll with it. Just if it's awkward, then it's awkward. It's fine. It's fine. So today I'm going to be reading a piece about coming out as bisexual as an adult and overcoming my internalised biphobia. I didn't fully come to terms with being bi until I was about 20 years old, and I didn't start coming out to people until I was 21. It's hard to tell when I knew I was queer because I never really did. It was more of a process of coming to terms with being allowed to use that label that way. Even now, I still feel the effects of internalised biphobia, and I still have panicky moments of, oh wait, what if I'm not really queer enough? I'd heard the word bisexual and understood what it meant way back when I was 13 years old, when I met a defiant older girl at school who told me she was bi, and we had a chat about the whole thing. And soon after, my first romantic experiences were fairly evenly balanced between boys and girls. But I struggled with a lot of internalised biphobia. Friends had said that it was a phase, that we were all experimenting and would grow out of it, that sort of thing. And I believed it, and internally saw myself as temporarily bi-curious. Kissing girls was something that felt just as natural as kissing boys. I clumsily flirted with and kissed a lot of girls during my mid-teens. And I didn't grow out of it, but I did enter a 7-year relationship with a cis-het man. We got engaged, and I believed that I would spend the rest of my life with this person, so what did it matter if I was straight or bi? I was functionally straight, and that was all that mattered. Over these years, I continued to struggle with my sexuality. I didn't develop intense crushes on women, so I saw this as proof that I wasn't really queer. In retrospect, this was more due to the fact that the way I experienced sexual attraction was complicated and hamstrung by a ridiculous amount of overthinking. This confusion wasn't helped by the fact that I experienced attraction to different genders in different ways, so that took some time to puzzle out. Attraction to women is a confusing process of figuring out, do I want to dress like her, do I want to be her friend, or do I want to sleep with her? Whereas attraction to men and trans-masc people is more straightforwardly aesthetic. Over the years, I've also considered other sexual identity labels, but I was tying myself up in knots trying to label myself. So I've settled on bisexual and queer, because ultimately when I ask myself, am I attracted to people of all genders? The answer is yes. I read something useful and affirming a few months ago somewhere that has helped me relax about the whole thing. I couldn't find it to credit the person who wrote it. Someone wrote that you shouldn't worry about labels over everything else, you should just act according to what feels right and authentic to you. So don't worry about whether you're really queer, just date and kiss and sleep with whoever feels right, or don't, as the case may be. I used to feel alienated by all those stories of people who tell about the time they first knew they were queer, things like their first same-gender celebrity crush. I didn't really have anything like that, although on reflection there were small tells, my odd obsession with Jennifer Lopez despite not really liking her music being one of them. My queer realisation was less an oh shit I'm gay, what now? And more of a messy process of coming to terms with being allowed to use this label. I guess that's not a bad thing. For me, sexuality is often more complicated and fluid than we make it seem, and influenced by the culture we live in. If I grew up a few decades ago when being queer was taboo, I know I would have stamped out my bisexuality and chalked it up to my weird fucked up brain or something. There's certainly value to saying, I know I'm gay and this won't change, but I think the reality is more fluid than that for a lot of us.
Hi everybody, I'm the Uptown Betrayer punk poet. This is my 5-minute video for the Swansea Zine Fest. I'm going to do 2 poems for you and then I'll show you what I've produced. This first one is called The Friendship. A true friend these days is very hard to find. People who are self-absorbed are clearly not my kind. I'm looking for a person with a mutual appreciation of compassion and humility and to share life's great situations. There are friendships that I've had in the past, but due to circumstance, they're destined not to last. Not enough in common, I have to conclude. Need to find some quiet time, find some solitude. Some people leave you feeling singed with the way they think. Their attitude like a dark cloud driving you to drink. But your clear thinking is like a breath of fresh air. More people like you, please, everywhere. You enrich my life with the qualities you possess. I learn a lot from you each day, which never fails to impress. I love it when your face lights up when it's something you enjoy, or something you've accomplished, a feeling I share and employ. I listen with intent to the things you say and do. You're a fascinating person. I'm interested in you. We've had some good times together. I hope we continue to do. You're a good friend to me. Hopefully I am to you. Right, this next one's all about, well, it's music related. It's all about people who go to the smaller gigs, support the smaller venues and local bands, you know. So this one's all called the alternative crowd. There are too many clowns in our society. They all look the same as far as I can see. Oh, so shallow. What a way to be. It's not the lifestyle that suits me. Drinking pints of shit that they will lament. Being sick on the pavement. Not much quality in their lives. It's not exactly what I prescribe. With no cover band in sight, the alternative crowd will be out tonight. With no money for old rope, they're out to upset the status quo. You won't see these people on your TV. They provide a haven of originality. With Dr. Martin boots and turned-up jeans, they don't fit in with conventionality. It's the alternative crowd. These people have identity and their own fashion. They are people who care, who are full of passion. Saves live music as far as I'm concerned. Total respect has been well and truly earned. It's the alternative crowd. These people like punk and the psychobilly sound and all good music that is to be found. Don't accept the rooty crap. It's on your TV. You won't see them on a sofa on a Saturday. It's the alternative crowd. Loyal to the cause, music in their blood. These are people of virtue, and if it's not enough, these people are creative and have integrity. They lead the way in what we all should aim to be. It's the alternative crowd. Right, that was the alternative crowd. Just show you what I've produced. I've made a box set of all my poems. There's 20 originals in here. I'll just show you what's inside. First of all, there's a placemat for your favourite poison. And then you can read through the set. Inside the set, all on A6 hand flyer size card, there's say 20 originals. Some are back to back. This is sideburns. Others are four page. This is shit photographer. This is 4 page. They're £7.50 or £11 with postage and parking. If you go to the Uptown Betrayer Punk Poet Facebook site, if you want a box set, just send me a message and we can have a chat and sort of organise payment for you. Have a great festival. I know it's not the same with we're all online, but I'm sure the organisers will sort out an actual festival for us to attend in the near future. Stay healthy, look after yourselves, and take care. Okay, bye.
Paper doll. You start off cut up and cut out of your basic shape to show who and what is your space. In the utter foundation of your entire blueprint, or whatever blueprint you're given and go with. But after that, you start to make the myth, or facts, of this person, your personal pith, that you scribble inside that shape, all the sections you can carve and move and drape, or expose. It's the most you that you made yourself. But what happens when you move from your shell, and you find the places where the you is you cannot gel? 1 or 2 or 3 or more, the sections that don't fit where you're stored. So you flip over to search for your other face, and never cut out you, a shape that came from the base. It could be the same, but you can't have it that way. So you edit, cut, no paste, delete on the clay. You try so hard to morph and smooth into the grooves, the you is you couldn't achieve. And when that one is done, you find another to be weaved, and then another and another. Oh look, a new place, for you to whittle your new face. What is this one's emotion, if it has any at all? What sort of things does it say? What does it do? Does it think? What is it called? For when or if you need to pull or take it out again from the files that sometimes feels like it goes on for miles, you feel like you're flipping over and over for your book of styles. One day you want to fold out and see they're actually one log infinity. All of these yous, and amongst them you'll be, somewhere, is you at peace.
38. I went on a bus. It was quite a long ride. When it went past Vauxhall bus station, I realized this is not the 38. And I'm not going to Sophia's house. And she doesn't live there anymore. Apology. All I ever wanted was an apology. A moment where she admit that she did wrong, and she is sorry. Instead, she turns away like nothing happened, as if her words didn't stab me in my heart, as if her opinions didn't make my world shattered. She remembers all I did wrong. I remember all that she wronged me. Choice. It was never about what we want. We all want different things in this world in different times. It's about having the choice to choose without being judged, without being stereotyped, without being discriminated, and without being told we have to follow a certain path in a certain time. We all live differently. Just let us be. Coffin. I always liked coffin-like space. Small, dark, alone, without any light or sound. In places like that, I feel I am safe. The outside world cannot touch me. All the connections are cut, good or bad, and all there is left is me. Dream. I cried so hard in my dream. I felt my eyes hurting, eyeballs melting, tears and blood coming out of my eyes, suffocating. The air I breathed in barely reached my lungs, stuck in the back of my throat. The air I breathed out was so sharp that it felt like I'm being sliced open from inside. But I woke up, and I was fine. No suffocation, no blood nor tears. I was incredibly sad, but I know that I will always wake up from my dream and from the pain that haunts me in the past. Future. No one is quite sure what the future holds in the time of rapid change and bullet holes. In one moment it seems like the world is collapsing. Wars will break out, Earth will explode, everything and everyone will be dead in a snap. In another moment, everything seems to be fine. New technology saving the Earth. Humanity shines its light. Everyone and everything will be fine in a bit. I cannot tell which one is real and which one is fake. Or maybe they are both real. Maybe they are both fake. I only know that I need to be alive if I want to see what the future holds. Memory. I am scared of forgetting. I think about my grandparents at night, only to realize I don't remember much of what happened. All there's left is the pain I felt when they passed away. All the good memories between us, forgotten, vanished, and left a big hole in my heart. I want to remember everything, though that will come with even more pain. Winter. I can feel my face cracking. Winds like sharp knives cut through my cheeks. The pain raises from the side of my skull to the tip of my ears. Tears seem to be coming out of my eyes. but froze before that could even happen. My hands are so cold that when the wind stops blowing, the static air almost feels warm. Soon it stopped. I can feel my whole body buried in warmth. I have stepped inside, and what's outside does not bother me anymore. Phone. When my phone is almost dying, I always get very anxious. I wonder if anyone will call me or message me when my phone is dead. This generation is too attached to the phone, they say. This generation should communicate more in real life, they say. Well, not everyone is living in the same country with their families and friends. So, shut the fuck up, Dave.
1892. My body, the side of rebellion, foregoing all that it once knew, found nothing would change, from a book took a page, and lived out the work of a lady. Lest we go unnoticed, closed candles once moldless, now stumbling again, and go, foregoing what's known, the kings and the thrones, to sever ties with the unending. Described for those there, curl of a prayer, and chants of destructive rejoicing, are not for your faults, but for that you don't know, and find that paths often remorse. There's more. Let me find it. Mort. The folks who call to hear, well, not this one. Holly. Decrepit and faulty and pure, the reasons it seems are a blur, and then you have cast standing on the mass, the folks are seeking repulse. The gang is simply called gross, and you are unknown, a womanly bro who severed a life from its beating. I like marzipan, but I'm not going to read it. This one's the shortest, from Tumult. Tourmaline, facets of a simple dream, each man seeking recognition. They won't want to be recognized for how they have spent their time. One more. Don't toil till the end of days, your sender seems unfit. I'm sure you know what love is, but wane with lasting fits. My love was taken by someone who cares a little bit, and when I tell them how I feel, something's off about it. So I'm ill, society claimed, but so is exiled population. They claim they won't send me home, they claim no destination. The Lone Ranger was not a man, but he was quite the character.
Hi everyone, I'm Morgan. I'm one of the event organisers for Swansea Zine Fest, and I'm going to be reading from my recovery collection of poems. This first one is called Dating. I'm going to get cats, and a rickety house with creaking steps, and a catalogue for fake warts. I'm going to get birds and binoculars, wear hats with bubbles, let in religious callers, and start drinking tea. I'm going to make scrapbooks, press flowers, and go on brisk walks, home make bird feeders and make eyes at the postman. I'm going to get harnesses for my cats and walk them through town wearing plastic rain hats, with ladybird stencils and hiss at passing children. I'm going to click pyjamas and go out in Crocs. I'll learn to weave baskets, to enjoy celery and commune with pigeons. I'll record and rewatch game shows and be smug when I know all the answers. I'll knit quite badly and send the outcome to family, all to avoid the calamity, the so awkward agony, the apparent normality of going on dates. This next one is called Attempting Me. There was a point in my childhood when I didn't know how to blow my nose, to open a ketchup bottle. I still can't ride a bike. And I wonder if they know. I wonder if they know that I can't tell left from right, or eat with my fork the right way round, that I can't snap my fingers or get my tongue to make that clicking sound, that I can't fill in forms without getting panicked, or cross a road without the green man, that every deadline feels like a sentence, that public speaking shakes my hands, that I can't copy movements, or remember facts or lyrics very well, that I really can't stop my blinking or my grimace, and I wonder if they can tell, that I rely too much on spell check, that I can't turn off my brain at night, they have to balance my sensations so that left will feel like right, that I go full fight or flight at a plethora of sounds, that I like to sleep at least 10 hours and can't cope with being ill with no one else around. And I wonder if they know that I get my facts wrong, that I don't really like this song, that my opinions are too changeable and I don't care about the news, that I just play a game at small talk and have rehearsed my how yous, that I don't know when to shut up and I don't actually empathise that well, that I talk of positive thinking but don't know what I'm doing, and I hope that you can't tell. But I'm a chatterbox, and a heart on their sleever, and a really bad liar, and I know that you can tell. And this last one is called Pink. Sexism, Valentines, lips and garish houses, hisses you pass and never look back. Toys and nighties and bubble bath too, makeup and sunglasses and sparkles and glue, toothbrushes, hairbands, dresses and shoes, or bedsheets and pencils and pens never used. I hate pink. I wanted blue.
Hi everyone, my name's Jade. I use the pronouns they, them. I'm a zinester, writer and poet based in Brighton. I write the Perzine series Scorpio Moon, and in that I write about things like witchcraft, queer life, neurodiversity, radical politics. I've also made a number of comp zines and mini zines on like a multitude of subjects, including astrology, self-care, relationships to nature, things like that. And today I'm going to be reading my poetry mini zine, which is Deep Les Dirt Feels, and it's a blackout poetry zine that I wrote at the end of last year. So here we go. 1. Protect the inner parts of the non-essential floral organs. Concave mirrors reflect the light of the central parts. Lilies are indistinguishable except they are alike. Form the outer wall, then called by the same meaning. The essential organs of reproduction must always be present in order that different flowers, or even different plants, find a number of small yellow knobs. Rather they form several. They are much more numerous, these little bodies. Each stamen is really a blade. The innermost part consists of parts packed close together but not cohering. Get out one with a needle and examine it. It is a little body, a kind of horn. Cutting across the glass, this is a stigma. Modified leaves are said to be separately resting on or inserted in the receptacle. The number of the glance cannot be made out. Some trouble is usual. This is often indicated by the symbol infinity. In the buttercup, both are indefinite. 2. Differences distinguish the two classes. Warm, moist earth. Examine another at intervals. You will thus observe a more satisfactory thread. Dip into a soft, warm, dark daze. A thick, soft white will protrude through the hole and thrust itself into the first push extremity. First developed always protrudes away from the moisture, apparently. Scar uppermost, grow through, and then grow downwards. The cause of this has never been very interesting. The gravitation of fluids has something to do with it. 3. It tapers downwards, conical, fusiform, spindle-shaped, succulent by many, considered when turnips, etc. become less succulent. In the oak afterwards, sent out laterally, given off irregularly, really arranged according to an equal in size axis, swell out and become tuberous, annular. Given off by an underground stem, sometimes a creeping stem, as in creeping, in ivy, a climbing stem. The nourishment is supplied by the true mangrove. Germinate on the parent, the radical grows downwards. Tree ferns and screw pine, an erect stem, the tree from the branches. The 300 large and 3,000 small men. Roots are aerial because given off in the air. Orchids, lilies, onions, grasses, palms are parasites, live on mould. The smut of wheat and decaying renders them diseased. It takes root first in the nurse, nourishment from the clover, float under the water, enter the bottom, cut the cellular masses. 4. Suck in fluids for the nourishment of such soft bodies. The hard soil will enable you to understand. So that's my zine. Unfortunately, you can't get it at the moment. I have an Etsy shop, but I'm only selling digital zines at the moment because of coronavirus. But yeah, if you want to check out my Etsy shop, that's Martian Letters. And you can follow me on Instagram at Letters from Mars. And I'm also on Patreon at Letters from Mars as well. And you can sign up there for a zine subscription or just read some of my other writing. So thanks very much for listening. Bye.